is up, MSM? It is great to see you. My name is Sam, and we've got a couple big announcements to get to today. But first, I want to start with a question, and it's this. What are you doing for Thanksgiving? What are you doing for Thanksgiving? Are you flying across the world to see Grandma, or are you importing Grandma in to the dining room table to spend Thanksgiving with you? Where are you headed? We would love to be able to discuss that with you and talk with you about it. I know Bree and I, my wife and I, we're planning to stay right here in the Bay Area. We're going to hang out and have a great Thanksgiving with a few friends of ours, and we're super excited and thankful for the people that God has placed in our life. I know I'm also planning on making some buffalo chicken dip too, so I'm super excited about that. I cannot wait. But let's get to our announcement, and it is this. Boom! We get to go to the mall together, and it should be a ton of fun. We're going to be at the Hillsdale Mall from 2 to 4:30 p.m. at the Hillsdale Mall in the food court. That's where we'll meet up, and then we'll do our shopping, we'll take care of business, we'll hang out, we'll have fun, and then we'll meet back at the food court as a huge group. Now, here's what this event is designed to do. It's designed to give you, the students, a little bit of time to shop for your parents or maybe a sibling that ordinarily you go everywhere together, so it's super hard to surprise them. So you get the chance to shop for them without them knowing. Now, I would say you gotta communicate with your parents about setting a budget. You gotta set a budget so that they're not surprised when they see what was spent. So communicate with your parents, and parents, if you're watching this, make sure to communicate with your children about what you feel comfortable with them spending so that there's no surprises. But we're going to be hanging out at the Hillsdale Mall. It'll be a ton of fun. We'll end with ice cream at the end too. So that's why we're meeting back up at the food court. And then at 4:30, you are free to go back to your parents. And I'm sure they'll be excited to see you and excited for whatever you snagged for them too. Last but not least, we want to let you know that it is week 4 in our series called FAM. This is going to be the last week of the series. We have a very special lineup for you today. I'm super excited about it, but let's pray before we get into it. Thank you, Jesus, for being able to bring us together and make us family. God, thank you for inviting us into your family. You did not have to. It says that when we were still far from you, you drew near to us. God, thank you so much for inviting us into your family, for choosing us to be a part of your family. We ask you to help us not just live with our family, but love our family. We ask you for that, and we thank you for that. In Jesus' name. All right, well, what is up, MSM? It is great to see you. For those of you who don't know us, my name is Sam. This is...
I'm Ebony. Hi, everyone.
And we have...
Rachel. Hello.
And you can notice our setup today is a little bit different than normal. Here's what we're going to be doing. We are in week 4 of our series called FAM, where we are learning what it takes not just to live with our family, because like most of the time we have to do that, but we're learning what it takes to actually love our family, and that can be difficult sometimes. So you have so graciously submitted questions for us, and we want to be able to speak to some of those questions and answer them. We're going to have some really practical stuff today. So that's what we're going to get into, and we want to start off this morning just by asking our 2 people here with us a little bit more about themselves. So Ebony, Rachel, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure, I can kick it off. So as I said, my name's Ebony. I'm a pastoral resident here, and I get to serve in middle school ministry. It's been a couple months, almost 3 months, 2 months now, I believe. It's been awesome. Just a little fun facts about me. I love salt and straw ice cream.
Okay, but what's your favorite there?
Okay, I always am torn between like fruity-ish and like chocolate. Chocolate usually dominates, so
yeah.
I usually get
like
the
a Rocky
chocolate.
Road?
Ooh.
No, I missed it on that one.
It's good. It's good.
Missed it.
But chocolate gooey brownie. It's like a ooey gooey brownie.
Okay.
Ooh.
Top notch. And then I also love their strawberry coconut sherbet. So I sometimes do both.
Last time I was there, I had maple bacon.
How was it?
Was
It
it
was
good?
amazing.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
I had such low expectations of putting bacon in ice cream. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Rachel, what about you?
Yeah, I'm Rachel. I'm a student ministries coordinator, so I get to hang out with middle schoolers and high schoolers every Sunday. It's the best thing. I love the color yellow. I love all things ice cream.
great.
Rocky Road is probably my favorite.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be cliche, love long walks on the beach. So
Long walks
that's
on the
me.
beach with salt and straw Rocky Road ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Just-
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about family today. We're going to get straight into it. We got to figure out this though. Before we start answering the real deal tough, hard-hitting questions, we got to figure out what got on y'all's nerves growing up. I assume you both had siblings. I assume you had family or people you considered family. My goodness, anytime you put a couple people together in a household, there's going to be some tension, there's going to be some conflict. So tell us a little bit about what got on your nerves growing up.
Well, let me tell you, you got time for this. Okay, I'll say
You got a
couple
few
things.
hours?
A couple things that got on my nerves growing up. I mean, one was I just wanted to spend time with friends, right? If you're out of school, I just want to relax, I just want to hang out. But I was involved in kind of a lot, so I didn't really have time to be outside too much as I got older. My family had me in sports and dance, which I loved. But I wanted to quit quite a bit because hanging out with friends just sounded so much better. So it kind of got on my nerves that I was always busy, to be honest. I see the good in it now, but at the time I didn't.
At the time, you just wanted to chill.
I just wanted to chill
Yeah.
with some ice cream and friends. That's all I wanted.
That's all you need.
And then kind of connected to that, I mentioned this in the message last week, but my relationship with my younger brother, right? Quite frankly, he kind of just got on my nerves when we were growing up.
Okay, but what did he do?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Like-
Shout out to my brother if you're saying I love you.
Hello.
We are great now. But
Quick, what's his address? No, I'm kidding.
drop it in the comments. So okay, this is gonna sound so nice of him. He just wanted to spend time with me.
How dare he?
Right? So the little time
The
I had
nerve.
with my friends, I just wanted that for my friends, right?
Right.
But sure enough, there he was. He was always there. And
God
so, and then he's a little brother, so he's going to be doing the pranks.
He
He's
was
going to be
gross at that
hiding in my
age.
closet. He was super gross at that age. And now we laugh about it. But at the time, boy, my nerves were just kind of through the roof a little bit. But yeah, I love him. Those were a couple things for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think if you asked my family that question, I would probably be the answer to their question. So there wasn't a lot that got on my nerves.
Rachel got on my nerves.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot that got on my nerves, but I think if I had to think of things, I would probably think of just constantly being in each other's space. I feel like I felt the need for
Business.
for a bubble or privacy. I wouldn't even word it as privacy, but I think just space to be and to have a couple moments alone. I think as an introvert, I realize where some of that comes from now. But
Probably why you like long walks on the beach with ice cream.
yeah,
Yes, it's
Long walks.
rejuvenating to the soul. You get energy from not being in other people's space.
Yeah,
Yes, so growing up, I can imagine that was a big deal. For me, it was I always wanted my brother to do what I told him to do. I was the older sibling to a chronic fault. Growing up, I would have an idea for my brother to do, hey, let's go play basketball, let's go to a movie, let's go see something happen, let's go hang out with those people, those friends. And if he didn't want to do it, I would heckle him until he did. I'd be like, why, how come, why not? And so I was always frustrated that he just wouldn't do what I told him to do, which is not necessarily a good thing to be frustrated with him, but it really got on my nerves growing up. And I think if my brother were sitting right here, he would say that the thing that I did that aggravated him the most was definitely my obsessive tapping and whistling during school. I did that all the time. We grew up homeschooled, so right across from each other. And that was it for 15 years. We had to do school right next to each other. So if you can imagine having a brother who's constantly whistling, constantly tapping, that would get on his nerves. So I got to tell on myself a little bit here first before we do our next question, which is, okay, now that we've kind of told on our families a little bit, what do you love about your families? Because you both came from great families. You have great relationships with your families, yet you experienced a little bit of tension growing up, which is normal. What do you love about your families?
Sam, I don't think I got anything for this one. Probably good. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I love family. But yeah, I could share a little bit what I love with my family. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the cooking. My mom loves cooking, and she's phenomenal at cooking. Shout out to you, Mom. Again, I'm going to keep saying that if you watch this. But she is phenomenal, and I think that's a big love language of hers. So she always made sure, like, we're going to be fed, we're going to be taken care of. And I think coming home to, like, a home-cooked meal is just one of the best things. So I loved that about my family. Also, we were just silly and pretty loud, and people are going to know we're around if we're out in a crowd. And as young, I was kind of like, okay, there's a lot of attention. But we just had a good time, honestly. It was a blast. The memories we would make, the vacations we'd go on. Another thing for me is, my family didn't go to church. And so what I loved about them, though, was that they were definitely okay with me going. And they were super happy for me because they could tell that I was happy.
That's awesome.
And so they supported that completely. And I'm super grateful for that.
That's a big deal when your family supports yet doesn't understand.
Yes.
But they understand enough to go, oh, wait, that makes her happy. I'm happy she's happy. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really cool spot that your family kind of experienced. But more important question, what was your mom's favorite thing that she cooked, or that she cooked for you?
Wow.
What's that meal where you're like, I would just, like, nothing else would have to go right the rest of the week if that was on the table?
We'd go home right now.
Yeah.
My mouth is watering right now. It's probably going to be her lemon pepper wings with her, delicious potato salad and garlic bread and all of the fixings. But yeah, her wings are, like, everything.
All right, we're gonna need some of that. What
Yeah.
about you?
So
Your
I'm gonna
family?
go.
Yeah. All right, something you liked about your family growing up, Rachel, besides like long walks on the beach.
Yeah. Ironically, the thing that that got on my nerves is the thing that I love the most about my family is just spending time
Okay, that makes sense though.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I love that I'll always remember is my parents upgraded to a king size bed.
Let's go.
Not because they liked space for themselves, but because we needed more space for the four of us to be able to take our Sunday naps
The people
after
were
filling our
growing.
bellies with food. Like,
Yes.
we're
Yes.
larger, we're happier, we're
Yes.
more annoying and ready for sleep and cranky, but we still loved being together.
That's
And their
great.
upsized king size bed carried us and still carries us through many Sunday naps
That's
whenever my
great.
sister's home.
That's how Sunday should be.
I think the thing I enjoyed most about my family growing up is we genuinely enjoyed spending time together. Like, my dad loved taking us out back and playing sports with us. My brother and I enjoyed playing video games together. Like, as much as I tell stories on here about how we were at odds, like, we really appreciated each other growing up. And then, like, my mom was so patient. Like, she taught me how to read, how to do math. At least she did her best at how to teaching me how to do math and stuff like that. So, like, dealing with me as a kid required a ton of patience, and I never remember her, like, losing her patience with me while teaching me. So I was super grateful for that. But we're going to get into our next question here, which is a little bit of a difficult one, right? A lot of you had questions about this topic, so we kind of summarized all of your questions into one question, which is this. It's like, we know our parents love us. We know that. We understand that. But sometimes it feels like our parents put pressure on us. It's not that they're intending us to feel that pressure. It's not that they're intending to do something that stresses us out. But sometimes we feel pressure from our parents, be that academically, to get a certain grade, to make sure that our grades look a certain way, maybe athletics or after-school activities, band, soccer, dance, ballet, whatever it looks like. There's some pressure on us to do things. Understanding, though, that our parents love us, they want the best for us, how are we to respond to that pressure when we feel it? What do you think we should do about that?
It's a tough one. Yeah, I think I would say that even just voicing that you're trying your best sometimes, and I think before it gets to a point where it's like an explosion of like, this is too much, I can't handle it, kind of just letting them know that there is pressure that you feel, or kind of like the underlying like story maybe behind the grade. Or I think for me it was like, yeah, there was like fear when it came to playing soccer. I just wanted to play for fun, but when I was watched and when my parents were present watching the games and I wasn't performing well. I think I just wanted to play for fun.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand that fear because I didn't tell them. And it was a lot of conversations that were had down the road. But I think had I spoken maybe into those moments of, yeah, this is what I'm kind of feeling, or like this is the pressure that I'm feeling. I think voicing
like what
it.
you said, though. I really like it, that kind of having the conversation before it reaches the boiling point, because I feel like even for me, looking back on my life, I had conversations once I hit the boiling point with my parents, or once I had that like moment where I'm like, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
Boom, then I had the conversation. And in those moments, man, we never pick the right words to express emotion when we're in the thick of it. But I think if we can have the conversation with our parents after or before that breaking point, go, hey, this is something I'm experiencing. Not saying you're doing anything wrong, but this is what I'm feeling, and then ask for their help. Most of the time, parents want to help us with the pressure that we feel. They want to enter into that space with us and love us well during that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I think another thing that I'm thinking of, right, is like we have the privilege to know the character of God, right?
Let's
the
go.
God that we love and who loves us so much. And so easier said than done, but we know that God as our Father truly wants the best for us, right? Does that mean we're not going to go through hard things? Does that mean we're not going to feel pressure? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
We go through those things that essentially help equip us, right? And prepare us for the things that are to come. And that's going to be very parallel to our relationships with our parents, right? We are going to feel that pressure. We are going to be able to have those, hard times, and to be able to lean into having honest conversations, just like we pray to God, right? Being honest with Him, letting Him know where we're at, because He hears us. Your parents hear you. They want to talk with you, and to be able to work through that together.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Don't ever underestimate that you've got leaders here that love you too, and that would love to be able to give you advice and tips on how to do that with your folks, because it's really hard, and I never got it right growing up either. So having leaders in our life makes a huge, huge difference. But maybe there's some siblings out there that aren't experiencing tension with the pressure that parents may or may not put on us. Maybe there's some younger siblings going, why does it feel like a war with my older sibling? Or vice versa. Why is my younger sibling always doing blah, blah, blah? Why can't they just fill in the blank? So how do we actually love our siblings? It's a huge question. Lots of times they're older, and so we feel like, man, they get everything, or they're younger, and we feel like, man, they get away with everything. What do we do when that's the feeling in our home?
Yeah. Such a good question, Sam. And hard, right? Because it's, again, like we can say these things, but I think something that's coming to mind for me is when I think about my relationship with siblings, when I think about times where there were like really hardships or frustrations, I think the times when I acted out in ways that were hurtful was because I was angry, I was frustrated, I felt like things were unjust or unfair, right? And so now that I'm at a place where I can reflect back, right, or in moments when I was younger, something that was helpful for me was literally giving myself space, right? Because I know if I'm
Like
frustrated,
physical distance.
like
go to your
I'm
room.
going in my room.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes at the age that I could be, right? Like I'm going on a walk, right? I'm like, did I have a cell phone? Yeah, later in high school, calling a friend. But all those things where it's like I probably don't need to talk to my family right now because I'm not going to be kind, right? Or I'm not going to be the way that I think God would want me to respond in the situation. So I'm literally taking myself out of the situation. I'm giving myself space. I'm still going to talk about those frustrations, whether it be with God, whether it be with a friend or someone who's not in my immediate family. And I'm letting it out, right? So I'm not letting it fester up because I think it's important to still talk about those things, or it eventually will come out, right? And so giving yourself space and allowing God to prepare you to enter back into,
That's huge.
the close proximity with your family so that you can respond in a way that He has equipped you to.
Yeah.
But I could not do that on my own strength. Absolutely not. So I'm thankful that we got God.
It's almost like developing
Yeah.
healthy habits of taking a breath, not like shaking up a soda bottle
Yeah.
and letting it fester,
Yeah.
but just taking a breath to let things settle so that you can make clear decisions versus boom, react out of why did they always get to stay up late,
Yeah.
or how come they got to go there, and why didn't they get punished for blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, I wish you would have told me that when I was like 6 years old. That
Same.
would have really helped a
Same.
whole lot. Thank you. I'm glad y'all get to hear this today. Rachel, what do you think?
I can't say it any better.
No?
I feel like
All right,
yeah.
that's the answer we're going
Nothing
with
to
then.
add.
And I think, too, it like prepares us for life, too. When we see a sibling get something that we want, or when we see neighbors get something we want, but our parents don't give us, or maybe even like vice versa, they don't get punished for something, or they don't get the glare when the report card comes across the table,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, or goes to their phone. I don't think report cards go across the table anymore.
It's a good thing.
Oh gosh.
I know. Congratulations, we're all old. But like, I think that kind of prepares us a little bit for life too, because we're not always going to get what everyone else gets.
Yeah.
And that's when it comes back to trusting God as our Father to give us what we need
Yeah.
and help us understand that we can make it without that which we thought we really had to have, or else we die.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, God's going to get us what we need. Even if it's not the approval of a sibling, or if it's a tough conversation with a parent, He's going to be able to provide for us what we need. And that sometimes is hard to handle. But as you gain experience in it as you're younger, I think that might be some of the toughest lessons when you don't have that baseline to recover from. When you're
Yeah.
not like, oh, this has happened 1,000 times. And I remember when I was little, not being able to go to Disney, or not being able to go on that vacation, or not being able to stay up late. And this is how I responded. Once you get older, it might actually get easier if you're putting into practice the stuff that they're talking about today. Because then it kind
Yeah.
of prepares you for like, okay, I'm not used to always getting what I feel I deserve. I'm not used to always getting what I feel I needed, but I am used to always having exactly what God wants me to have, and He's going to take care of me. No matter if that's attention or the shoes I wanted, I'm going to get exactly what God wants me to have, and He's going to
Yeah.
provide.
Snaps to that.
That's my thought. But, so we talked about older and younger siblings. How do we respond in love even when things don't seem fair in our family? How do we actually love our siblings when it's like, this doesn't add up?
Yeah, I think one thing that's been helpful is even just like taking a step back and realizing like celebrating with our siblings is celebrating something as a collective, as a family, or celebrating something with our parents, even if it isn't necessarily like directly affecting us. It's affecting our like family unit,
Yeah.
and there's still something that we can kind of like join in together. It's an opportunity to enter into relationship. Because I think when I sit on the sidelines, or when I'm kind of like moaning and groaning about something that I didn't get, it's being on the sidelines. It's
Yeah.
not being part of experiencing that joy with them. And I think sometimes, yeah, it's kind of acknowledging that not everything will seem fair or seem like the way that we want it to go. But I think just getting to step into like still having that opportunity to enter back into relationship again, and to be a part of celebrating something, even if it's not necessarily the thing that we really wanted for ourselves.
It's almost like a team mentality of like, hey,
Yeah.
when my sister wins, or when my brother wins, when dad had a great day or mom had a great day, like that means we all had a good day. This is not just
Yeah.
them winning and me losing, but it's
Yeah.
the family winning, and we get to all celebrate as opposed to feeling like we're pitted against one another.
Yeah.
Huge. Okay,
Yeah.
so like, if your sister would have came up to you, and I'm sure she did, and been like, Rachel, that was a great soccer game. I saw what you were doing out there. I just want to tell you how proud I am. That would have made a big difference?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
For sure.
I can imagine. But that's sometimes really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you think, like, that'd be weird if I walked up to them and told them, like, hey, you did great at dance recital, or you did great at soccer, or hey, I saw you make that shot, or something like that. It can feel awkward at first, but, like, it would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, so I was telling Ebony a little bit ago that because our family is in such close proximity, or like we're often with each other, there's this like underlying understanding that we love each other.
Yeah.
But I think it's often something that we don't feel like we need to verbalize or vocalize a lot.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, they already know it.
Right.
But I think it goes a long way to celebrate the little things, or even over celebrate, even when it feels like it's like, you can never over celebrate or never over affirm
Yeah.
anyone, let alone family.
That's good.
So I think it's an opportunity to join in to celebrating, even if it's not the thing that you would have wanted to celebrate.
What about over forgiving? Can we over forgive our family?
Apparently not.
No? Apparently not. That's a good response. How do we show grace to our family? Jesus showed grace to us. He's our sibling, right? Like, big brother, showed us a ton of grace when we did not just like we didn't deserve it, but we deserved the opposite of grace. We deserved judgment. He showed us grace. How do we demonstrate that for our family? And what difference do you think it makes? I'll go first.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
So here's what
There's
I'm
no
thinking.
grace.
Here's what I'm thinking. Forgiveness was huge growing up. Like, forgiveness between me and my brother was almost a constant. Either I had to forgive him or he had to forgive me. Because we were brothers, living in the same household, being homeschooled together. There was a lot of time spent together, for better or for worse. And I think it was for better. But sometimes it actually felt like worse, right? So, like, we would have to forgive each other constantly at a nauseating amount. And I love that my parents never let us, like, not forgive each other. They always made us verbalize it. Like, hey, I'm sorry for doing blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry for doing something that I shouldn't have done. Would you forgive me? And then ultimately my brother would always say yes, right? And not in a begrudging way, but he'd actually, like, forgive me. I remember one time growing up, I had, to make a short story, I literally lied to my brother. He found out that I had lied to him, and then he asked me, giving me an opportunity to tell him the truth, and I lied twice more. I doubled down twice on the lie, and he got so upset, and I could, like, see him get upset, and I asked him why he was upset, you know, as if I didn't understand that he knew I was lying, and he's like, because you're lying to me and it hurts. Not because, like, you did the thing I didn't want you to do, but I'm upset because you're hurting me because you're lying to me. And he took maybe, my brother's phenomenal. He took maybe 15 minutes to himself, came back, and he's like, I want to forgive you. I know why you did it. I was just upset and I was hurt. And to this day, I remember that moment. I can see him standing in the doorway of my room as like a 13-year-old kid telling me that I'm going to forgive you even though you didn't ask me to forgive you. That was huge. And to this day, I still remember it as like, that's an example of God's grace. And he could have separated from me. He could have like cold shouldered me, never spoken to me or spoken to me less or let it affect the relationship forever. But because he chose to go out and say, I'm going to forgive you, we still have a great relationship now. And that affects the way I think about forgiveness. So I think when it comes to grace in our family and like showing forgiveness, man, that can pave the way to still having close relationships with your family, not just in high school, but think in your 20s and in your 30s.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
Yeah, that's good, Sam. I don't know if y'all can relate to this, but when I think about like showing grace, I think about not keeping like a tally chart in your mind, right? Like a mental note of like, this person hurt me this way, this person wronged me that way.
I did that all the time.
Right. Okay. So same. And I think that that's kind of like a natural thing that we might do, right? And we can easily do that with our siblings. We can easily do that with our parents. So I think a practical way of showing grace is getting rid of that, right? Of just walking into that forgiveness, right? Even if someone isn't asking you for forgiveness, right?
Yeah,
like
I
the
didn't.
relationship, exactly. But still giving it because that's what Christ does. That's what God does, right?
Dude.
And thinking about my relationship with my brother, I know I talked about him getting on my nerves. Well, fast forward to present day, I'm the one actually now that's probably getting on his nerves because he's at that age where he's like, he's a cool guy, okay? He's cool.
Yeah.
And I'm the older sister that's like, play with me, hang out with me,
Yeah.
let's go play basketball. I don't know what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
teach me. And
It's like, stop embarrassing me in front of my friends.
Totally. And I'll be honest, there are times where, you know, he's gonna do his own thing, but there's also times where he's open to that, right? He doesn't hold, you know, all those times where I was like, bro, I'm not really trying to hang out right now, right?
Yeah.
Against me. Instead, it's like, okay, well, we could have had more time when we were younger, but now we have this time now,
That's
so
cool.
let's utilize it. Let's spend time together. Let's have fun. So I think that's huge. I think that's an example of my little brother showing me grace in a way that I never even imagined happening when I was younger.
Yeah. Makes me think of what we were talking about earlier in the series. When we could choose to separate from our family, we choose to support our family. That's a great way that he's doing that now with you, and you're doing that now with him. It's like, you could have chosen to separate and been like, hey, we didn't get along as well as we could have. So you know what? I guess that's just the way it is. But instead, you're choosing to support each other by forgiving each other. That's Huge. Any
Yeah.
thoughts to add as we kind of wrap up, Rachel?
Yeah, I think I would say it's never too late, and I'm not saying that in the sense of like wait forever to apologize or
Oh, that's
to like
good.
to forgive.
Yeah.
But I think it's never too late, and I think it's never too late to even ask like God, like, hey, where are the areas where I am like being really hurtful or like just not kind to people in my family, or where are the areas in the past that I might need to apologize now? And it might even look like a year ago, I apologized to my sister. I kind of just had this moment where I was like, I have been a terror to her, like growing up. And she was just so gracious and forgiving and never said anything. But we had this really heart-to-heart conversation where I apologized for the things that I kind of observed or thought of. And she shared some of the things that really got to her heart and the things that just made her really confused and felt unloved. And she wholeheartedly forgave me right there.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like pain, and I think a lot of like even being willing to accept grace and forgiveness can be hard, but it's never too late for that, and it's never too late to to re-enter into that relationship and take off the tally sheets and
That's good.
start fresh, because God is a God who makes all things new, and He's made relationships to be good, and it's never too late for them to be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you as well. This has been our series on family, but the conversation doesn't stop, right? This is just a little bit of a segue into our next series and our time together. We want you to know that, like, your leaders, they're here for you every single week, whether you want to reach out to them through a comment on YouTube, a text to them, an email to them, or if you're showing up in person, you can always grab them, pull them to the side, be like, hey, we got to talk about something, or even just bringing them up to speed on the celebration, the things that have been happening in your family that you're like, this is really cool, like my little brother forgave me, or like I forgave my big sister, or something like that. Like, we don't want to just only be there to help you work through the drama. We want to be there to celebrate with you when you get it right, too, because you're going to get it right. And we want to be there to champion that, too. That's what God does for us. He's not just standing over us like, I can't believe you did that. But He's also celebrating us when we get it right, too. So this is our series on fam. We're wrapping it up. And we're going to head into next week, where we're going to talk about a trending topic and something that's been bubbling up underneath the surface for a long time. I can't wait to get to talk with y'all about it. But for right now, we're going to say, see you later. Peace.
Will you stand with us? People have been together, strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children of every nation, His kingdom come. And don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high and fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. You sing it. Jesus, our redemption and our salvation is in His blood. You believe it now? Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come. Oh, so don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your Everything with breath, repeat the sound. All his children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. That's all it is. Come on, you sing it. Swing wide. Swing wide, all you hands.